with these kids ask why President Trump is so orange.
Donald Trump's most iconic feature is not his hair, but his face, rather the makeup on his face and the ongoing argument about what exact shade it is. Of course, we all know he has an ego shallower than a kiddie pool, but tiptoeing around offending dear leader has gotten to the point where even the kids are pointing out that something just ain't right about that man's face. Real quick, I want to ask you guys to like and subscribe to Really American if you haven't already, if you enjoy seeing this kind of content that MAGA hates to see. Making fun of the color of Trump's face is kind of low-hanging fruit at this point. I mean, we all see the orange disaster that Dumpy Don mistakes for a tan, and it's easy to make fun of a man who insists on making himself look like a clown. But interestingly, there may be more to it. A professional photographer analyzed Trump's use of bronzer going back decades that perfectly exposes Trump's inner psychology. Turns out the shade of his face is something of a mood ring. The darker the shade, the more insecure the man. Now that's something that doesn't seem like a big deal, but we are known on this channel to examine the psychology of Trump. So I wanted to take a deep dive and examine the question, why is Trump so orange? And that's when I found this thread from October of last year, before the election, examining Trump's use of bronzer throughout his career, not just during his presidential campaign. And I think it's incredibly fascinating, so let's just go through this. The photographer Emily Elsie is asking the question that everyone's afraid to ask, why is no one covering this very important data point? In July of 2024, Trump looked like this. Note that his face is the same color as his chest and neck and hand. And now he looks like this. This, of course, is before his election, but he hasn't really changed much during his presidency. So for years, I've thought that Trump's makeup choices were simply made for the TV audience. Under a blue light, the orange doesn't look so bad. But lately, I feel like something more psychological is happening. Here's his inauguration in 2017. We thought he was orange in 2017. Look at what he looks like in this picture. His face is slightly more orange than his neck and side here, and definitely than his hand. We thought he was orange, but we were babies. We had no idea what was coming. But as his term wore on, the more bronzer he applied. Here he is in 2020, and look at the difference, just how dark his face has gotten compared to his ear and the side of his head here. The more stressed, the more makeup. And then, when he was out of office, the makeup would only reappear for the cameras. Here he is at his New York City court appearance in 2024, but it was mostly toned down. After Trump's debate with Biden in 2024, the makeup all but disappears. No makeup at all. This is in July, just a month afterward, during the event that almost changed all of our lives. He was on top of the world during that part of his campaign, and notice that his face was just about the same color as his hand. Here's a picture in July. Look at his face. It's almost the same color as Netanyahu. Friends, this is from today, October 30th. Believe me when I say we've never seen him like this. You guys probably remember too that the week leading up to the election was the darkest we've ever seen Trump's face. Hell, he was basically darker than me. I mean, this entire week he was dark as hell. And also he was doing the back of his hands, but just the back of his hands. I guess he caught on that all of us were comparing his face to his hands. Emily Elsie continues, what I'm saying is, I remember where I was when I saw this picture on February 10th, 2020, standing in the doorway of my room at Ace Hotel in Portland, Oregon. But 4 years later, the orange mask has been normalized.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
It's no longer news, but maybe it should be, because the mask has changed. It disappeared and came back. This time it's darker and more glossy. It's more blatant and absurd, and its existence is telling us something about the man and his understanding of reality. Also, should note, yes, the mask tends to get darker at the end of his presidential campaigns. He's usually darkest in October. This is like the evolution of some sort of kumquat-based Pokemon who's getting more ripe as he evolves. Last summer, everyone was talking about eyebrow blindness, which is when a person gets obsessed about the size and shape of their eyebrows, that it becomes overblown, cartoonishly big, because they can't see that they've gone way past the pale. Our makeup choices are not made blindly. We use makeup because we can see the limitations of our own face far too clearly. Like we do in many aspects of our life, we overcompensate in a bid to hide our flaws. I mean, look at the line there. That is just absurd. It's like a perfect mask. He even made sure to get the double chin. What is particular about Trump's makeup choice, flat pancake bronzer and fake tan, is that it doesn't align with the rest of his look. Big suits, gold house, which all tend to reference the style of the late 1980s and 1990s. In 2003, where it became popular for people to wear bronzer, especially those who are socialites or on TV, Donald Trump was not wearing bronzer. Notably, neither was Melania. But in January 2004, The Apprentice first premieres, and it comes with the fake tan. Now that Donald Trump is moving from being a businessman to being on TV, he clearly was very self-conscious about his tan and picked up the fad that everyone was doing at the time, bronzing themselves like a goddamn statue. Spitballing here, says Emily, but it appears to me that the bronzer trend of the aughts entered the public square through the faces of reality TV stars like Paris Hilton. The presence of the exaggerated mask implies an ego in utter despair, desperately trying to hide and overcompensate perceived flaws or weaknesses. When the mask in question is bronzer, we should remember that in 2004, just a bit of bronzer could turn a citizen into a TV star. So, I'm no Maggie Haberman, but looking at this picture, I can say with absolute clarity, Trump thinks he's losing. Unfortunately, we all know that isn't the case, and Trump ended up winning. But his use of bronzer didn't go away, which implies his confidence never really came back. Here he is in Saudi Arabia, and look at the difference between his face, his neck, and his hand. I mean, it looks like he was caught in a sandstorm out there, and he blocked it using his face. Here he is in Saudi Arabia, notice the blue tones in the room, and his face still has a very clear, definable makeup line going straight down his cheek. I'm not sure if he's adding this much bronzer because he's intimidated by the beautiful skin tones he's seeing over in the Middle East, but clearly he's feeling very insecure here. And Donald is so insecure so often that the kids are pointing it out. During a high school visit to the Capitol, GOP Representative Brian Jack was put on the spot when one of the kids asked him this.
Go ahead. Yeah, please. Say it again.
Why so orange?
That's, you know what? It's your perspective.
They asked, why is President Trump so orange?
Go ahead.
So these kids asked why President Trump is so orange.
Now, I don't know why things got so awkward there all of a sudden. I think that's a fair question to ask. After all, kids generally attend high school after they've developed their eyes, so we shouldn't be shocked that some in young, inquisitive minds are asking the obvious question, why is he so orange? Now, I'm also no Maggie Haberman, but it appears to me that Trump is starting to realize that public opinion is shifting away from his tariffs. His little trick of being cruel to immigrants can only work so long before people start realizing that, hey, I can't afford any of the things that I used to. He better be careful. If he gets any darker, he might end up getting swept up in those ICE raids too. I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American, and I'll catch you next time.